We're not doing that yet. No. I know, but in honor of Betty Ropey's, former mayor Betty Ropey's passing, I just wanted to invite everybody to take a moment of silence in remembrance of Betty, please. Thank you. Before we start the actual council meeting and get into it, Lisa has spoke with Betty's daughter and family, and they indicated that a memorial service will be held in Prineville at a later date. We don't have a date yet. But the city will we'll keep that posted as we can, and I'm sure Betty's family will too. So, God bless you, Betty, and thank you for your service to the city of Prineville. All right, now we'll flag salute. Marv, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Counselor Elfman, or sorry, Counselor Hutchison will not be here tonight.
Okay.
Counselor Effelman's here. Are there any additions to the agenda?
No additions tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Move on to the consent agenda. If everybody's had a chance to look at it, I'm open to a motion to approve it.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain. I was absent at the last meeting.
I should be abstaining too, because I was. My motion. Vote.
I will.
According to, I've asked Jared this, according to Jared, if you're here or not at the last meeting, if you still read it and you agree to that, it should hold.
So, yeah. So done.
Okay. All right, so. All right, visitors' appearances and requests. Would anybody like to speak to the council in the audience before we get into the regular business? Is there anybody on Zoom or on the phone? Okay. All right, there will be a spot at the end of the meeting also for visitors' appearances and requests. Council presentations. Chamber of Commerce presentation, Deb Shaw.
Deb Shaw, Prineville Chamber.
Andrea Weaver, Explore Prineville.
So this is our quarterly report. We kind of missed the end of the year, so we're playing catch up and combining. So yeah, thank you for having us, and thank you guys for your continued support of what we do. And we always very much appreciate this partnership, and it's valued. Go ahead. So we changed our tag this year. You might notice the top, your first choice for living, work, learning, and play. We did change titles last year in October. I'm now the Director of Commerce and Tourism. Kelsey is the Community Relations Coordinator. We have a new person, Sherry, Administrative and Operations Specialist. And our new Explore Prineville person, Andrea, joined us on October 1st, and she is the Tourism Development Specialist. This is our current board. We will be going out for new board members in March. Our 2026 vision is to be financially strong and stable organization. Is the first choice for living, work, learning, and play in Crick County. That should sound familiar. We will achieve this by ensuring sufficient lodging, meeting staffing needs, and focusing on automation to improve efficiency and streamlining our processes. Our events, we have our chamber perks every Friday, our ribbon cuttings, our after hours events, our professional business and nonprofit social media trainings, our annual membership awards banquet, which is coming up this year on the 28th, Candy Crawl, Small Business Saturday, a new one we had this year, and we will have it again because it was very successful. Breakfast with Santa, we served over 160 community members, and that was not volunteers, that was actual community members. The Lighted Christmas Parade, Stampede Street Party, and the second annual golf tournament will be happening again in May. We have currently 300 total members. And as you can see, there is a lot of member benefits. I don't know if you want me to read those, but I can. But we have added recently, I just would like to just touch on a few of those. The advertising on the LED sign and our chamber TV. When we remodeled at the end of 24, we added a TV within the lobby and individuals can advertise on that. Members are free, non-members, there is a small fee. We have the access to the chamber health insurance plans, which is basically the same health insurance that I offer the employees myself. And it's a small co-membership with the Bend Chamber. Very good that we can offer that. Just a couple of the other highlights, bulk mailing rates, which is huge. We share that expense with our members. They can come grab a stamp. It's fantastic. It saves our members lots of money if they have over 200 pieces of mail. That's pretty much, other than that, the social media support over the platforms, those kind of things. A lot of those others probably look familiar to you. The business assistance, grant seeking and assistance. Again, the marketing and social media promotion that we do. We're partners with our local businesses, our organizations, including you folks, our entities and projects, our Meta social media business workshop that is provided to us by Meta. Our capital grants program. This is something we've done in the past. We are able to do it again this year. Hope to roll that out first quarter. I'm putting together and finalizing the application now. Our grants that we'll be offering this year are business beautification, marketing with education, and community projects. And again, that will be distributed 2026 first quarter. And that's an exciting one. That is directly giving back to our community for the funds that we take in from our community. It's a full circle. The marketing and media that we involved ourselves in this year for both Explore Prineville and the Chamber were the Central Oregon Visitors Guide, 1859 magazine, Cascade Business News. We did paid influencer campaigns specifically for Explore. Radio and newspaper marketing for our events. That was the 4th of July event and Stampede. We did radio ads for those. Local large event advertising. I'm going to hand off to Andrea to kind of do the Explore Prineville.
So we are the area's destination management organization. And so we, by being the DMO, we can accept funds from Travel Oregon, Visit Central Oregon, that just goes back into the community. That organization is tasked with marketing the Prineville Crook County community as an attractive travel destination to draw new visitors and businesses to come to our area. And that is the bulk of what I do. So I kind of just touched on that. So something that's just important to me personally, even though I'm kind of a newbie to town, I do want to focus on keeping, our values and focusing on that small town rich with history and culture, while also highlighting the great and many assets that Crook County has. So super fortunate to be in this position. as well as market retail, restaurant, and abundance of activities and events that make Prineville very unique. So some of those are established programs and events. We network and foster relationships with other community partners and stakeholders here, as well as statewide and regional as well. And then one thing we're kind of focusing on is using that social media aspect with influencers to help promote Prineville and what makes it so awesome. So some accomplishments this past year, before I took this position, we secured the Verticat that is at the Middle Lakes Golf Course, and that is an accessible golf cart that can really meet the needs of those who are wheelchair users. And I looked this up yesterday and I couldn't find, at the time we were one of 2 statewide. I wasn't seeing any other Verticat listed on the state on their website as of like yesterday. So that's kind of cool that we have that to offer here. These are just some quick stats for the chamber: Facebook followers, Instagram, newsletter subscribers and such. Same for Explore. We have a monthly newsletter. If you guys want to hop on exploreprineville.com and subscribe. I like to highlight and focus on the events that are coming up within 1 or 2 months out. And then just continue to promote all of the things that make Prineville so great. So Visit Central Oregon is a partner with us, and they're amazing, and they have access to a lot of statistics and numbers. And so through a company with called Datify, they ran a little report for me. And so based off of January 1st, 2025 through September, you'll kind of see a breakdown of the total trips, the average length of stay for those who do come and visit and stay with us. And then kind of on the bottom, which is really interesting to me, is the age of demographics for the visitors, as well as their income. And then kind of those average number of travelers. A close second would be, your families of 3 to 4 and 5. But honestly, staying in that same income level, which was really interesting to me. So, as you know, you can park your rig at the chamber office and do that 3-day cycle loop, which is kind of reflective in that 3.5-day stay, which is kind of neat. And another thing that I'm kind of focusing on is just the affordability in which you can come and you can visit Prineville, and it's a lot of things are free. Like the parks are free. There's no parking fees. You don't have to park or pay to park except for the reservoir now. But you can still do a lot of things on a budget. And so that is one of my goals, is to market it that way, that we are an affordable place to travel, and that we're a 4 seasons destination between the golf course and hiking and the BLM campgrounds. You can really come and stay here all year long. And so that's what we're really trying to hit home on this year.
I think that average income too, under 50K, really noticing that we are able to target, and that's the whole point of some of those demographics, is we can really target specifics to, try to bring those individuals that we feel like that are already coming. And I think that we can just build on that. So total income, and this is a picture from July 24 to June 25. 515,129 total expenses, 603,468. Membership revenue was 82,540. Grants and foundations was 55,250. I know that's a lot, right?
Yeah, like what do I want to highlight on here? So as some of you may know or not know, the TRT is a tax that can be imposed, or that is imposed by the city, town, and or county on temporary lodging for stays less than 30 days. This includes hotels, inns, trailer courts, campgrounds, and Airbnb vacation rentals if they are registered. So a portion of those taxes from that ORS shall be used to promote tourism and tourism related activities. So again, that's kind of where I come in, and that's where we focus on just bringing people here and marketing Prineville to those in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. So tourism promotion, can mean any of the following activities: advertising, conducting strategic planning and research for the purpose of stimulating future tourism development, operating tourism promotion agencies, and then again, marketing special events and festivals that are designated to attract tourists. Again, just working with our partners to promote what we have, and then also bringing in new events or working with those who are wanting to bring new events. We have a new event coming in October on the 17th, and it is a demolition derby that will be held at the fairgrounds. So super excited to partner with somebody, they're not a newer group to town, but they're just a different event, and it's not in June or July. It's in October.
Something
which-
in fall.
Yeah, which is busy actually for us due to hunting season, but just looking forward to attracting more events like that, and then really working with those groups to grow that event so they will return and continue to host here. So
Some variety.
yeah.
So strategic goals, fostering regional prosperity. We'll work to enhance regional prosperity through strategic promotion of both community engagement, tourism, while providing support to our local businesses. Marketing and branding will adopt the marketing tag, be your first choice for living, work, learning, and play to attract and retain residents, business, and visitors. Comprehensive data collection. We will implement and expand the data collection for all of our associations' activities to inform strategic decisions and measure our impact. So that's again, honing in on those things from VCO, those larger companies that can utilize those AI softwares that are much more than we can afford, but they already have those and they're our partners, so we can utilize those to search those demographics and see who's already visiting and really target those areas, or to see where we're lacking at the same time, right? What timeframes we're lacking in, what areas we're lacking in. So I think that's kind of these are our new strategic goals for 2026 that the board put together. And they are really a combination of combining Explore Prineville and the Chamber. When we launched Explore Prineville, we were very focused on setting aside the tourism from the Chamber and running them parallel. Our goal this year is to run them as an in-sync organization, which we feel is what we should have been doing all along. The goal to, at the beginning was to make sure we could set that product up for success, but now we're there. So it's time to merge them and make it one happy family. So that's kind of the whole goals of these new strategic goals. All right.
And that's all we got.
Any questions?
Thank you very much.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Move to council business. Item 7, grocery bandit zone change. Planning Commission recommendation. Josh Smith.
Evening, council. For the record, Joshua Smith, Planning Director. Pretty simple zone change for you tonight. I have a real brief presentation just to see it, but the Planning Commission recommendation kind of has it all. Like I said, this is not a public hearing. This is simply to allow council the chance to initiate a public hearing if they would like. Otherwise, they would simply go to ordinance at the next council meeting. A little bit of history on this. If you guys kind of remember how Gardner Road looks, this is a kind of overhead view of what is now the Grocery Bandit. Back in 06, I think we all remember kind of it was partitioned to do the furniture store at the time that was sitting there. And at the time, Wilco was across the street. When the furniture store sold, it was going to be sold to Grocery Bandit. At the time, they did not have, you couldn't put retail in industrial zoning. So we changed the zone of the current Grocery Bandit here to commercial. They also own this piece, and at that time, that owner wanted to leave that industrial. Otherwise, we would have changed the whole property. They now have new owners, who don't intend to use this for industrial purposes. They want to use it for all retail purposes and expand the business. So they're asking to rezone it, and then they would combine those properties together into one commercial lot as it was before they partitioned it in '06. So that's kind of the gist of why they're doing this. They want to expand so they can use they are already kind of using it for our retail. The idea is just to move that line, combine these lots, and then that would allow them to increase their footprint. It is in the floodplain. Do want to acknowledge that. We will have to, there'll be some limitations on their construction, but we will handle those during construction time, elevation of foundations and such. So this is essentially what we'll be doing. We'll change the comp plan from a heavy industrial. That area is actually zoned on the comp plan for heavy industrial, but it's always been zoned light. So the comp plan will change to a outline commercial, and the zone will go from light to C2. And then once this is done, they've said they'll come back and combine those lots together. So with that, that's kind of the gist. Kind of a simple zone change to accommodate an expanding business. Like I said, there's a planning commission recommendation for approval. The way these zone changes work is unless there is an appeal, which there isn't, there was no one at that meeting, there was no comments, or a review initiated by council, essentially the planning commission decision is adopted, and then a formal vote of an ordinance will come back to council. So at this time, any questions on what you saw? And so the decision is whether a council member wants to make a motion. If not, we will come back next time. Well, you wouldn't make a motion at all. So the only motion would be if you want to review it. If you don't, if there's no initiation, then you just don't say anything. And we'll bring the ordinance back at the next council member for the formal vote.
Sounds like a pretty logical Yep. planning change.
Yep.
Thank you for
Okay,
following that.
understood. Thank you.
Right, item number 8, intent to award purchase of 2 electric vehicles utilizing ODOT grant funding, Mr. Kaiser. And before we jump into this, Casey, can I ask a question or for clarification?
Fair enough.
This is from federal funding, correct?
From ODOT funding.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's federal funding they received that is now being sent to the cities.
Correct.
Okay, I wanted to make that clear because with the current situation there, I think there would be a lot of questions if it wasn't from federal funding.
Good point. Yep.
Okay, sorry, I just.
Good evening, council. For the record, Casey Kaiser, City of Prineville Public Works Director and Assistant City Manager. At this time, I'd like to ask council to consider approving the purchase of 2 Ford F-150 Lightning EV vehicles. One would be for the IT department and the other would be for the railroad department. The cost of these 2 vehicles is $133,517 and is being funded by an ODOT grant that Caroline Urban, the city's Director of Strategy and Economic Development, was successful in securing for the city. So the grant funds, along with a 10.27% match, and that's coming from budgeted funds that are already identified as vehicle replacement funds. So this has been a little bit tricky. We've had a little bit of a tough time actually locating vehicles for this since Ford has made the decision to discontinue, at least temporarily, production on their Ford F-150 Lightnings. But we were successful in finding 2 that fit the railroad department and the IT department. We are able to utilize the state of Oregon price agreement that we have with Kendall Ford. So that's an approved contract or an approved procurement method that we have for the city. So that is authorized. And yeah, so happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I would recommend that council approve the purchase of these 2 electric vehicles for our IT and railroad departments in the amount of $133,517.
We have another staff report here for 3.
You do have another staff report for 3, but that staff report is actually not correct anymore either. So, so I appreciate council's patience with this. So here's what happened is we had initially identified 2 vehicles. Then a third vehicle came available. But the problem is they won't hold that vehicle until we have a commitment to purchase, which we could not give them until council made a decision whether or not they could purchase that vehicle. So that third vehicle in that staff report got sold out from under us. So we retracted that modification for the third vehicle, but wait, it gets better. We do now have another third vehicle that I'll talk to you about in a minute. But maybe right now we can just focus on these two.
Any questions? I think Casey's answered about everything.
I would make a motion to approve the purchase of 2 electric vehicles for the information technology and railroad departments for $133,517 using ODOT grant funding and the Kendall Ford statewide price agreement number 1658 and under ORS 279.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passed unanimous. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, council. So at this time, I would like to inform council that late yesterday afternoon, Lieutenant Bulmer was successful in locating a third vehicle. Initially, the city had planned on purchasing 3 of these F-150 Lightning vehicles with these grant funds. Between the grant funds and the match, we had budgeted $219,000 for the vehicle purchase. You just spent $133,000 on those first 2 trucks. So we have sufficient funding left to purchase the third vehicle. So at this time, I would like to ask council to consider authorizing the purchase of that third F-150 Lightning. Same deal, we would purchase that through Kendall Ford through that state pricing agreement that we have through them. This vehicle, the total cost of which is $52,253.66.
Would anybody like to make that motion?
I make a motion that we purchase the third vehicle at 52,000.
253.
253.66.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes.
Thank you, council. And I apologize for the confusion on that. We were moving really quickly, and the dynamics of how that works is you can't get them to lock down a vehicle until you can issue authorization to purchase. So I appreciate council's patience and understanding with that. Thank you.
I have one question. Were those grant funds only available for electric vehicles?
I don't know the answer to that question. Is that correct, Caroline?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Copy. But I will say I have a neighbor that has one exactly like that, and they think it is wonderful. Yes.
Yes. He's the only guy I know that has one.
All right, move on to staff reports and requests. City managers report, Mr. Forrester.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we'll start with public safety, but I'd like to ask Interim Chief Shane Wilson to join us at the podium. He has an update on a recent case development.
Good evening, Council. Mayor, for the record, Shane Wilson, Interim Chief, Prineville Police Department. So tonight, I just wanted to quickly update you on an incident we were involved in, and also to highlight the use of technology that you've provided funding within the Prineville Police Department. Specifically, this is our drone technology. Drones have proven useful in so many cases and incidents. And tonight, here in just a minute, we're going to show you one that you may have read about recently. It was just in some of the paper. So on January 7th, just last week, at about 10:56 p.m., Jefferson County Sheriff's deputies were in pursuit of a vehicle. They identified a passenger inside as wanted by the U.S. Marshal Service. Vehicle failed to stop for deputies and was heading towards Prineville on Highway 26, reaching speeds of up to 130 miles an hour. Prineville officers started responding that way to go assist Jefferson County when the subject crashed near Lone Pine Road and fled into the juniper bushes and trees. One of our sergeants arrived on scene, who's a drone pilot, certified drone pilot, and launched our drone and almost immediately found the subject lying down about 100 yards from the scene, as you'll see here shortly in the footage. The subject, we think, heard the sound of the drone, could see it was following because they have some lights on them required by the FAA. and decided to give up. The sergeant used this floodlight, which is also built onto the drone, to illuminate the scene and make sure it was safe for law enforcement to approach. As you'll see in the footage, the subject is holding a phone in his hand, which was identified by the drone operator and relayed to units approaching. This is kind of a critical part. It's black, it's dark out there, you can't see. And phones and objects in people's hands, these are milliseconds sometimes that you have to make that decision in. So the drone operator was able to see it's a phone. They gave him some commands, which you'll see him put down the phone, and he complied. No force and no injuries were sustained. Should be noted that 2 loaded firearms were found at the scene, along with some drug paraphernalia, and the subject was arrested on multiple felony charges and was lodged at the Jefferson County Jail. So tonight, I just kind of wanted to highlight the use of the drone technology, which in this case led to the successful capture of a wanted subject without any injuries to the subject or to law enforcement. In addition to using this technology in Prineville, we work closely with our law enforcement partners in the Tri-County area, just as they do us. This was a successful example of those partnerships we've worked hard to establish. Right now, we're going to play what it looked like from 230 feet in the air. We'll kind of narrate a little bit. There's no sound. So as you can see, it's using a heat signature, and you can see he's lying down right there, and he's getting the drone straightened out. But he identifies him pretty quick, hiding in the bushes. If you can see the white spot on there, you're going to spin the drone around, and now he knows that we're watching him. The drones are kind of loud, and like I said, they do have lights on them. So he kind of knows the gig's up. So what's important here is the drone operator is 230 feet. Law enforcement's far away. This is over 100 yards from the scene. You can see that his arms are swinging. We can't really make out all the details, but the drone operator is able to see some key details, that it doesn't look like he's holding something like a rifle or anything at that time. That's actually where he is as he zooms back out. Kind of neat about the drones, they don't have to fly very far. The cameras will zoom in for a long way. So he's 233 feet, and this is him being taken into custody with his hands up. We'll switch to a different view here in just a second, but you can see law enforcement's coming up. His hands are up. They're giving him commands. Puts his hands on his head. And then the law enforcement personnel will take him into custody right there safely. Again, no force was used. No one was hurt in this incident. And then here in just a minute, we'll switch it to a satellite view. The drone operator sees this, and remember, this is pitch black out there, so they've lit him up pretty good. It's kind of hard to make out here, but you can see in his right hand, he's holding something. They see it's a phone. They're telling him to drop it. He drops it. Looks like he's kicking it or trying to flip it over maybe. But now the drone operator can see and relay that info to the units on the ground that he has nothing in his hands, and you can start seeing flashlights as they're moving up to him, and they start giving him commands there to get on the ground. It's a good overwatch tool that we're able to see from kind of the eyes in the sky. And this is just the same view, but with a satellite view of him being taken into custody. So tonight, I just wanted to show, this was in the paper. I know Jefferson County did a press release on that, so some of you may have read that. So I just kind of want to show you what these drones can do and how impressive they are. And in this case, no one had to chase him into a field. We were able to use a drone, 230 feet up in the air, secure the scene, secure everything, and get him safely into custody. So I just kind of want to highlight the use of drones, and if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Shane. Staying with the public safety theme here for tonight's city manager report. Wanted to report back to the council, the Shop with a Cop event that we've been doing for years was again, another big success for our community. And we can see some pictures if you'd like on the police department's Facebook page. The in-dash and body cam rollout project is currently underway. We also have another new officer, Officer Marlin, that just started the academy and is expected to graduate from the academy in April of this year. And as we just talked about, we got the one new Ford Lightning for the PD, as well as 6 new patrol vehicles, and will be additional police equipment will be installed 2 at a time over the next several weeks. On the dispatch side, we have a new team member who will begin the academy soon, so we continue to work with Katie and her team on filling up our spots in the dispatch area. And on the public works, I'd like to ask Casey, if you don't mind, Casey, could you introduce your new employee who happens to be here tonight? Randy, we're kind of throwing you to the wolves here tonight, but come on up with Casey, if you would, please.
Good evening, council. Again, for the record, Casey Kaiser, City of Prineville Public Works Director and Assistant City Manager. I'm very pleased to announce our new hire who started Monday, Randy Blankney. Did I say that last name right?
Yes, sir.
We haven't known each other very long, so I was hoping I wouldn't butcher that. But Randy brings a great background and experience and overall just general good attitude to the team. So Randy's role will be replacing Mike Kasperger as the city's assistant city engineer. We're anticipating that Mike's got a tentatively identified retirement date of May 1st. So Randy will be working with Mike and Eric and the engineering team and myself for the next couple of months to get up to speed, and he'll take over a lot of the important functions of the city that council doesn't see a lot of, but like the water reporting, very important, the management of our ASR injection and recovery cycles, and the design of a lot of our in-house projects and things all kind of fall to that engineering department. So Randy, if you wouldn't mind, maybe introduce yourself and give council a couple of lines about your background.
Hello, I'm Randy Blakeney. I don't know, do I need to say the record thing?
I think we got it.
I don't know that quite yet. Yeah, so kind of an interesting story. We moved here. My family and I have a wife and 3 kids. 2 girls are the oldest and the youngest, and then the middle is my son. He's 11, and then the oldest is 20, youngest 8. We moved here from Maryland. I got a job at the BLM, and then the opportunity arose to come here and work for the city. Prior to that, I was like in Maryland. I said I was in the military. I retired, and I was working as a contractor over there. And then we decided to move to Prineville from Maryland. So really enjoying it. Glad to be here. Excited to be part of a community for once. Thank you.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Welcome to the
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, council.
Thanks, Casey. So back to Public Works, ongoing progress on the construction of the plumbing, electrical, and well house for our new ASR number 2 well. We remain on track to have this well completed and operational by late spring. Also ongoing work on the complex and environmental studies for the ASR horizontal source well in the Crooked River well field. As a reminder, this next critical step in expanding our ASR system will greatly increase the source capacity of the entire water system. All equipment is prepared and ready to handle winter weather. We just haven't had any. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. But Mother Nature does have a way of catching up one way or the other. So we're ready when and if it does happen. We're also finalizing contracts and preparing to begin the design costs for all water and wastewater infrastructure to connect the currently unconnected residents within the city limits and within the UGB. This has been a long-standing city priority from council, and thanks to Caroline Irving working for getting funding through grants, we can now move forward with the extensive design of this project. For those of you who didn't attend, we had a great send-off for Robbie Katzenberger. He retired at the end of December after 39 years of service with the city of Prineville. So please join all of us in thanking him for his service to the city and congratulating him on his retirement. On the railroad side, we do have some storage cars coming in. We seem to be keeping relatively busy. We're anticipating a little bit of a slowdown on the barley business, but it's kept pretty steady, and we have other businesses continuing to keep us active out at Matt and his crew active out at the railroad. On the Meadow Lakes side, December was a very strong month for Meadow Lakes. I think we can tie that back to the mild winter weather, and was equivalent to October, to put it in perspective. So pretty unusual to have that high level of activity this late in the year or during the winter months. Annual golf certificate sales were again very successful, as well as the annual Golf Pro holiday sale. Restaurant remained busy through the holidays and will be extending their lease for another 2 years. On the airport side, we've spent some time with Kelly Caulfield, our airport manager, recently. Again, keep in mind that the airport is now transitioning over to county, but we still have an agreement with the county on the management side with Kelly as now a contract employee. The recent completed T-hanger project that the county started has been completed, and we have 3 out of 10 spots already filled. Kelly's very confident that the other 7 spots will fill up. The airport is practically full. So again, general aviation is moving towards our airport up there out of Bend and Redmond and other Central Oregon airports. On the planning side, Josh has been working on a couple potential residential subdivisions north of town. We're still working on the DLCD on a couple of grants for the housing analysis and code amendment processes. On the human resource side, Kerry Miller's been onboarding new employees. He just met one of them, and a couple of soon-to-be retirements. Now that dust has settled somewhat from changes in laws and consequences from the big, beautiful bill that needed to be resolved, it is time to start the significant policy updates that come along with that now that we understand that a little bit better. And I know that's been a lot of work for Kerry and her team to get all that put together. On the IT side, we've been making the rounds at all the communication sites for winter and preventive maintenance. I don't think they've been using snowmobiles yet, but that's probably coming down the road. On the finance side, annual audit was completed and went very well. Again, thanks to the finance team for keeping the city's finances in such great shape. On the public relations side, our followers, Facebook followers continue to increase, with the largest numbers still being women, and 20% of them being 65 plus in age. So kind of an interesting demographic statistic there for us to think about. On the mayor and council, it's also a reminder from staff that you'll be expected to see your annual statement of economic interest with the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. So keep an eye out for that. We'll remind you again as time marches forward. Typically, those need to be complete before April 15th, kind of like taxes. So we'll keep an eye on that. Also from Caroline's World on economic development and strategic issues, the Chrissy grant we've been talking about for a long time. They keep pushing those dates out on Caroline and the rest of us, but we do have a new date now for funding that grant. We got the grant, it's finalized, all that kind of stuff, but we're anticipating now that receiving funds will be in February of this year. Matt is staged and ready to go with some maintenance issues out at the ongoing maintenance and operating upgrades out at the railroad. So that concludes my report tonight. Are there any questions from council? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Item number 10, Oregon floodplain protection, Mr. Smith.
Evening, council. For the record, Joshua Smith, Planning Director. So this is a little bit of a request, kind of sprung out of the county's contribution that they gave. So staff, along with the county, is looking to the city council to see if they want to also make a contribution to the Oregonians for Floodplain Protection. It's an organization that was formed back in 2011, I believe, when this kind of stuff originally started to integrate the ESA protections into the floodplain code, which is a terrible conduit for actually improving ESA species. Don't know what the owners or why they decided to do this, but it was a lawsuit that created it, and it's caused problems. We've kind of gone over this in other council meetings before on how these rules would negatively affect our community. Primarily, this is much more onerous on the west side, where entire communities are in the floodplain, not just along a corridor. So most of the communities in this coalition are on the west side. The county and ourselves would be one of the only on the east side. But we feel it's important to kind of put our name out there, kind of look at it from a staff's perspective that, you know, we tried for our citizens to help kind of move this along. This organization is the only one litigating right now and trying to eliminate the thing altogether. I got an email today saying they're in some type of what they would call negotiations but their lawsuit has significantly slowed the implementation of this, and they're hoping to stop it altogether. So our contributions in this coalition just kind of help move that along. So the request tonight, which I had already budgeted in our floodplain line item in the planning budget, is where this would come from. It's $5,000, which would match the county's contribution, and kind of put our name in that coalition to see if we can get this thing stopped. Any questions from council?
Yes, just how will the $5,000 request, how will those dollars be utilized?
Most likely attorney fees. I mean, that's really what this is coming down to. This is litigation. This is them, they put out statements. They have an entire webpage. They do, I guess, their own letters, and they have a lot of outreach. And you can go on their webpage and you can kind of look and see what they're about and how they organize themselves. But really, this is all about attorney fees and moving that along. In the packet, I gave a kind of a white paper, one of their how they operate. I also gave their contribution, that form. That's how people donate. We're not asking for like a continued donation or a membership or anything. This would simply be a one-time. We're going to try to help stop the effort. So, from staff's perspective, it's a good thing, but it doesn't mean they will stop if we don't donate to it. They're going to continue their mission.
But as I read through the material, it appears that the impact to the city would be quite onerous in all of the steps and whatnot for development by individuals of lands that are encroaching or in the floodplain.
Yes. So it's so the breadth of regulations that come out of this is extremely problematic for those not only in the floodplain, but just to organize from down to the single lot that exists today. Even development in our downtown that already is developed would be affected by these regulations. Like there's nothing they can do about it. They're already there. It would prevent them from adding on. It would prevent them from potentially replacing something that already exists. I mean, there's ramifications that are really not understood at this time. And from my perspective, it's simply not if you're going to protect ESA species, there are other ways to do this without involving the floodplain code, which is really a building code. It's not a protection code. It is, if you build in the floodplain, build like this. And integrating this into a code like that is just impractical.
The reason I raise this is you're asking us to spend public
Yes.
dollars for the benefit of community members that would be faced with onerous expenses should they continue to proceed with their efforts.
Correct.
So I strongly support the concept. Don't misunderstand me. I just wanted to make sure we had it clarified.
Sure.
Thanks.
Any other questions from council?
Not a question, but I support it.
Yeah, I share
definitely
Mr.
support
Appleman's
it.
sentiments. Exactly.
Okay, this one does require a motion. I put it in the staff report just for
I'll move to contribute $5,000 to Oregonians for floodplain protection.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right,
all right,
get our
thank you,
names
council.
in there. Are there any committee reports from council?
Yes.
Please.
I have two. I attended with Steve and Lisa the COCO session, and primarily it was dealing with the preparation for the legislature, the short legislative session that will begin in February, and discussing where the focus is and where we would need to position COCO for that benefit. Also, the CREA meeting that I was participating in, same focus was legislative issues for the upcoming Oregon legislative session. So, and honestly, the expectation coming out of both of those meetings is that because the state is going to be so tied up with the ODOT legislative fiasco, I shouldn't say fiasco, pardon me, wrong choice of words, legislative issues that they're going to be dealing with, that probably that's going to take the lion's share of all of the efforts of the legislature. So I don't know that much will come out of that short session other than hopefully some decisions moving forward.
I'll call it a fiasco. Are we anywhere closer to nuclear from Korea?
Yes. And I say that from the standpoint that there is a bill that is moving forward. I shouldn't say it's moving forward. It is being submitted that is going to be for the Department of Energy to fund a study on nuclear energy. And it goes into a lot of detail about what and how and what expectations and the needs for Oregon to step back and take a look with a bona fide valid study, and to decide whether or not Oregon should reconsider their position on nuclear energy.
I think that's a step in the right direction, but it's a start.
It's a start.
Thank you, Steve.
That was one of the bills that we discussed for the Oregon legislature. Yes.
Any other reports from council members? All right, no ordinances. We'll move on to resolutions. Resolution number 1635, approving amendment to wastewater disposal agreement with the county. Casey Kaiser.
Good evening, council. Again, for the record, Casey Kaiser, City of Prineville Public Works Director, Assistant City Manager. So I'm up here at this time to ask council to consider approving resolution 1635, which would authorize an amendment to our existing agreement with Crook County to receive septage and other hauled waste from the Crook County landfill. This is primarily waste that comes from septic systems that are pumped out in the county, as well as some porta potties, things like that. Those come from job sites and special events, things like that. So all of that waste is hauled by private septic companies hauling that waste. They haul it to the Crook County landfill, where they put it in holding tanks there. They screen out all the solids. It gets some detention time there. Why that's important is because that detention there allows it to kind of mix and reduces the strength of that mixture. And then as those tanks fill up down there, there's a single supplier, a single hauler, muck septic, that then hauls that down and delivers it to the city. So that gets dumped into our system. We've been doing this for about a year now with no ill effects to our plant or our collection system. It's been working really well. It's a nice little bit of revenue for the city. We receive 7 cents a gallon for that septage that we receive. So that offsets our costs for managing that, as well as provides a little bit of revenue for the wastewater fund. So I think for this first year, we're sitting at about $300,000 revenue or so for this total. So it's been working well. We'd like to continue this for another year. So this amendment that I'm asking council to consider authorizing through resolution 1635, would it just extend it for another year? And I would anticipate just continuing this arrangement as long as until or as long as there's not a better solution on the horizon. I will also tell council that we have begun some preliminary designs looking at a more permanent septage receiving station, in the event that that becomes an option for the city to just take this on a permanent basis. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If there are none, I would just ask council to consider approving resolution 1635, authorizing a 1-year extension to the hauled waste agreement with Crook County.
I
So moved.
had a question, but I can ask you after. It doesn't really pertain to this. So
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1635. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passed unanimously. My question was, and you answered a little bit more of a permanent solution if this comes to it. Can that, after it's been sits there and is kind of treats itself a little bit, can that go into our wastewater system, like a regular wastewater piping system down to the plant?
It could, yeah. And in fact, that's essentially what we're doing now. We've just set up I'll call it a temporary receiving station, which is actually just an inlet point at a manhole. So we set up a flushing station there. So what we do is those trucks dump it into the manhole, and then we follow it up. We flush it with a little bit of water that just helps keep it moving and dilutes it into our system. But that's essentially what we're doing now.
Reason I asked that was, what would it take in the future if we're looking at a permanent solution to tie in or tap into those lines that we put in a few years ago up there that would be closer to the Facebook site?
Yeah, that would be a possibility, is to set something up on top of the hill up there in the industrial area. What we're looking at is, if we do move forward on a more permanent basis, they're basically kind of a modular pre-packaged unit that includes like the screening and everything. But what it also allows is individual trucks to swipe in to have access to the dumping point. And then it also is automatically metering and monitoring that volume that's coming through. So if it does look like there's a possibility for this to be a permanent arrangement for the city, we would look at something like that, where it would be a self-monitoring and kind of a self-serve station like that.
Nice. All right, thank you.
Any
Answered all-
questions?
No, he
Perfect.
answered my questions.
Thank you, council.
It's all right. No, you're good. It really didn't have to, or didn't pertain to that exactly. But right, we'll move on to resolution number 1636, approving appropriation adjustments to the biennial 25-27 budget for the third quarter of the first fiscal year. Lori Hooper Antrim.
Thank you. Good evening, council. Lori Hooper Antrim, Finance Director for the record. Before you is Resolution 1636, which is a resolution that adjusts BN 27 budget and emergency dispatch fund and the wastewater fund. Before the holidays, the former IT director brought to council a contract for approval for expanding digital radio coverage for the 911 emergency system. The need for that expansion and some increases in equipment maintenance was not anticipated at the time of budgeting and requires a budget adjustment. In the wastewater fund, this budget adjustment would allow for the purchase of the wastewater treatment plant solar facility and operating the facility, which is being brought to council later in this meeting. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Lori? If none, I'll open to a motion to approve resolution number 1636.
I move to approve resolution number 1636, resolution approving appropriation adjustment to the BN 2025-27 budget for the third quarter of the first fiscal year.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passed unanimously.
Thank
And
you.
then we'll move on to resolution 1637, approving a personal property sale agreement with Westlake Solar Panels LLC. I'll just keep you up.
Once again, good evening, council. Lori Hooper Antrim, Finance Director for the record. Before you is Resolution 1637, which is a resolution to allow for the purchase of the wastewater treatment plant solar facility from Westlake Solar. As council is aware, the solar facility is used to offset the grid power usage for the wastewater treatment plant, which is giving the city significant savings in electricity bills. Unfortunately, there's been some circumstances around Westlake Solar that has made them unable to fulfill their parts of the contract in place with the city. This has left the city in a place of uncertainty surrounding the future of the solar facility that's been providing a significant benefit to the wastewater treatment plant and the fund. Over the last 6 months, the city's been doing the due diligence necessary to assure that the solar facility will continue to provide a significant savings to the water fund for years to come. And our attorney's been working with the Westlake Solar attorneys to come to an agreement on the future of that solar facility. Included with the resolution is the agreement that was negotiated. The agreement before council tonight is a purchase agreement for $525,000. The city would recover the cost of the purchase within 4 years through the savings that the solar facility provides and the elimination of the power purchasing agreement. The estimated operations and maintenance costs are $25,000 a year, and that includes funds reserved for the major replacements like inverters. The wastewater fund does have the cash on hand to make this purchase and continue to cover its current obligations. Staff recommends the approval of Resolution 1637, a resolution approving a personal property sale agreement with Westlake Solar Panels LLC, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any question, but I was responsible for getting this situation started, and I am sorry that it came to the point where we had to, that the other partner in the project was unable to fulfill their obligation. But I'm pleased that the city is in a position to take full advantage of where we are, what we have, and the future savings that will generate for our community. It's an amazing benefit.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep. All right, I agree with you.
So with that, unless someone else has any objection, I would make a motion to, I recommend the staff, that we approve a resolution number 1637, a resolution approving a personal property sale agreement with Westlake Solar Panels LLC.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that passed unanimously.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much. We are down to visitors' appearances and requests again. Would anybody like to speak to the council before we adjourn? Is there anybody on Zoom or the phone? Okay. All right. If we have none, I'm open to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
You say that.